Hi everyone, my name is Old Gamer Joe, co-founder of Media Moogle. Media Moogle is dedicated to bringing video games, game music, and indie games and developers the love and recognition that they deserve. Free yourself from the shackles of mainstream gaming coverage and check out some of our wonderful content at MediaMoogle.net. It's time to say goodbye to the echo chamber and join us on this wonderful campaign to give the voiceless ones in this industry a voice again. MediaMoogle.net for all of our content, or YouTube.com/MediaMoogle to check out some of our great video coverage. Onward, our work has only just begun.
Hello and welcome to the video. Yeah, I'm doing really well. The Manabar video game podcast. I got it backwards. It's supposed to be video game Manabar podcast, whatever it is.
What?
I'm joined here with Matt Samarco.
Hey Dan.
And apparently, DJ Party is apparently my new nickname.
Yep, DJ Party.
Yeah. So.
In the house.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mike, for also texting me and letting me know that yes, that is officially my name. What he was saying to me, but
nice.
Which no, it's not. It's still the collector. Anyway, so stuff happened this week, right? Stuff happened this week.
News.
Yeah, news.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah,
lots of more pushing stuff back.
Yeah,
things we can't play.
I know it's.
I'm convinced games don't come out this year anymore.
No,
they had a meeting and they were just like, nothing. We're not gonna. Let's just pretend they're all gonna come out in Q1 and then just push them all back.
Yeah,
one by one.
I'm wondering if because Final Fantasy got pushed a month for whatever reason, Cyberpunk was like, we don't want to compete with that. And then now I would have understood a 2-month, 3-month thing, but they dropped it to what, September?
Yeah, Cyberpunk was like a 5-month delay.
Yeah, so that
which is pretty
feels
intense.
more than what I thought, because I was initially they delayed it. I just heard delay, and I was like, it's probably a month or two. And
what
then
got delayed this week? Because we had the Iron Man VR, which was the big VR game that was supposed to come out for PSVR this year, which was supposed to come out either next month or March, and it got pushed back a few months.
Yeah, the other one is Dying Light.
Oh yeah, Dying Light 2 is the other
Dying
big
Light
one.
2. Oh, excuse me, Dying Light 2.
It didn't even have a release date. It was just spring, and now it's just some vague time in the future after spring.
Yeah, I feel like that game and the other, was it Dead Island 2? They were hey, they're coming, and then they just kind of stopped giving information. Then Dying Light 2 was we have an advertisement, look at the cover, and then they're all right, we're gonna go back in the background again and just kind of sit back and hey, we're coming out soon, and then no, just kidding, we're just gonna sit back and a little bit.
Yeah, it's just strange. I feel I don't know if we're getting more delays than we used to get, but I feel like it's more, and it also feels like it's kind of a little bit more of a dire situation, because other years you can kind of just keep delaying and delaying, and the game will come out and no one cares. But now that they're kind of pushing up towards the the console hype, we're gonna know about the consoles before these games comes out. So they're gonna have the price and all the new games that are coming out. So they're gonna kind of get lost in the news storm. And then there could be some games like Dying Light 2 is not gonna come out until these new systems, I'm assuming. So are they gonna make it a next gen game? Are they gonna make it cross gen now? Are they gonna add even more time onto it? Or are they just gonna hey, we're gonna make a PS4 game even though PS5's been out for 3 months?
See, that's actually thought provoking, because I didn't even think of the systems at the end of the year. So maybe Cyberpunk. So now that kind of goes into what I just said, where they backed off because they didn't want to compete with Final Fantasy. They were you know what? Why don't we just back off till September, and that way we can do some cross-compatibility stuff.
Yeah, they can't
that would make sense, because September is only 2 months. What is it? 2 months away from the supposed November
we're probably
release.
Getting them both in November.
Yeah.
So that means September is really the last big rush that you can get in before the hype is so loud that you just get lost in the noise of PS5 and Xbox are coming out.
And I feel like that would be a smart release for Cyberpunk to be hey, we're gonna get the people that have been waiting for this game for so long, so they're going to get it for this generation, and then they're going to get a PS5, and then they're potentially just going to buy it again. So it's going to be a double hit. Because I know if there was a Metal Gear 6 or something, and it came out now, and then in 2 months for the new system, excuse me, I would be stupid enough to buy it twice, because that's just me. I buy it twice.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that, because if a game does come out for both systems, I'll probably just buy it for the PS4 and play it, and then because it'll be backwards compatible, I'll still be able to play it.
That's true.
And I really won't want to pay the extra money unless they do that weird thing they did last generation with Do you remember those? Was it PS3 to 4 where they had those weird like $10 upgrades for you could get like Assassin's Creed, and then you could get like for like $10 you could upgrade it to the new system. They did that for like
I do remember
a few months,
something
which was like kind of strange.
I do remember something along those lines. I don't remember if it was Xbox or PlayStation, but now that I'm starting to think, maybe I think it was a digital, like
a digital,
almost
upgrade.
like a code, and you got like the digital version for an extra $10. Which, I mean, did they give you the disc and then just give you the code? What would be
Well, I imagine it would just like kind of like the Xbox One does now. It'll just download the the new version of it, and as long as you have the disc in, it'll verify that you own it or whatever.
Oh, okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, I also remember some games doing like a sign it thing, like a register. You like registered the game, and then you paid like $5.
Yeah, that was like their way to combat used games where you had to pay for like the online multiplayer. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it was right around the time with the 360 going into the Xbox One, and then the PS. There was like a register thing, and then you had to go online, and then you paid X amount of dollars. It could be, you know what? It just could be a variation of what you just talked about, where it's just like a way to, hey, add on for $10 and you get the full game for the PlayStation 4. Even though I never really, I guess there was one company, I think it was Ubisoft, that was trying to, I was looking at an article that said they were trying to prevent the crossover games from feeling like the ones for the new system feel like they're just touched up. They want them to make them feel like they're actually like the next gen version, which is good, I guess. I mean, because Assassin's Creed Black Flag was great, but it still did feel like a nice looking PlayStation 3 game. When I played it, it was still, you could tell that the mechanics were still, this still feels like exactly the same. It doesn't really feel, it was just like, it's in a nice box. Like, yay. So, I don't know about you with the
all the new
PlayStation 4.
bells and whistles if you're going to plunk down $500 on a new system or whatever it's going to be.
You especially, where you haven't got the Pro, so you want this to be a big bump.
Yes.
And I don't know if you saw, I think it was Godfall it's called.
Yes. They had another, there was like another leak
Double
where
leak.
There was,
I was like, that game looks really nice.
There was like a minute or two trailer of just like gameplay from like a bad camera that kind of looked a little janky, so you can't really see how good it looks, but it was kind of interesting just to see how it played at least.
Yeah, and I guess there was also talks that it was from a year-old build of the game, so it's not even...
Yeah, they came out and said, hey, this is a year-old, don't judge us on this, basically. I mean...
And even then, it's still impressive,
yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is going to be nice, and it's going to be, like I said, even bigger for you, who has played on just the PS4 in general, and not the Pro. Which, I mean, the Pro makes a little bit of a difference. I don't know if it's going to be that exponentially better, for the next gen. But I know the Xbox is supposed to be, or the Xbox Series X, whatever they decide to name it, is supposed to be twice as fast as, like, the Xbox One X. So that, I guess, the Xbox One X is significantly stronger than the original compared to the PS4 Pro and the PS4.
That's gonna be sweet.
But so it's just been delay central for 2020. All in all, now it's for the big heavy hitters. It's been Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's been Cyberpunk 2077, Iron Man VR, Dying Light, and then Marvel Avengers.
And like every Ubisoft game too.
Yeah, right. So Watch Dogs and everything else. So yeah, it's been the year of the delay so far. Hopefully,
it's like the first big game we're gonna get is Doom Eternal, which is just a game that was already delayed.
They
got their delay out of the way in 2019.
It was actually funny. I was at GameStop today. What a shock. But I was at GameStop and their pre-order list is like there, and it's like, hey, pre-order these games. There was 10 games there. 7 out of 10 of those games had been pushed. Actually, 8 if you count Doom, because Doom was pushed already once. So 8 out of 10 of those games had been pushed at one point. I was like, that's not a good ratio, but I mean...
frustrating. Just like, don't tell us the date until you get the date
figured out. That's why with... I know you guys were excited. You guys voted, was it Breath of the Wild 2 to be like the big... Was it the best release to come or something, or biggest announcement.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, it's just an announcement. Like I don't want to give it any more than that because, I mean, it just feels like it's gonna, it could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now. You never know with friggin' these game developers and how. I appreciate the fact that they're taking time to polish this. I mean, there could be a more sinister reason, like, oh, we're just gonna find a way to add microtransactions, or we're just gonna find a way to. We're gonna just build DLC content and then, shovel it down your throat in 2 months. So we'll see what happens. But on the other note, what's Matt Samarco been playing?
Well, I've been continuing my journey of playing through like the Resident Evil games before Resident Evil 3 comes out. I finished 1, which was fun. I think we already talked about that last week. I've been playing through 2 again.
Didn't you love Lisa in that one?
No.
Oh god, that thing terrifies me. And was that in the original Resident Evil 1?
I don't remember. Lisa is like one of those like
monster
in the Resident Evil 1 that's kind of like is chained up and you can't really kill her, but she follows you in certain areas.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
And she's got like faces like stitched on her back, and
yeah, she looks pretty creepy.
Yeah,
and you see like there's like little logs that you find throughout the game, and some of them refer to her like before she was a monster.
Yeah, and
her story.
And she starts journaling, and then they start to get. You can tell that she starts to basically like her brain's like deteriorating because she starts talking like a Neanderthal towards the end, and it's just like me, food, hungry. It's just like, oh god, like this thing is terrifying.
Yeah, she had a very like anticlimactic end too, where you just kind of like
push
her off of a off of a tower, basically into this cliff.
Right, I forgot about
after chasing you for half the game.
Right. I forgot about that weird. Oh god, that was so irritating too. I fell off that like 4 or 5 times because I got shot by fucking Wesker. Right. So Resident Evil 1.
Yeah. So I'm playing Resident Evil 2 now, which is Manabar podcast Game of the Year 2019.
Game of the Year, yes, absolutely.
Which is a lot of fun. And actually, because I played it like 3 or 4 times before already, so I actually had unlocked, I guess, on the last playthrough, an unlimited use handgun. And since I already beat it a bunch of times, I was like, oh, I'll just try that, see how it goes. And it's like super satisfying to just be able to go and kill literally every zombie that you see instead of having to hide and run away from them. And just like completely clear out a room. So it's definitely like a different way to play it, which has been a lot of fun.
Is it stronger, or is it just the initial handgun?
I think it's a different name, and I'm not sure if it's like stronger or weaker. It feels like it's about the same. Like there's a lot of enemies, like especially in the sewers, those big guys that are kind of like,
oh my god,
yeah, they take like so many like shots.
So
like,
now
it's got to be like 40 shots,
off.
But I can just keep shooting. And yeah, which is fun. But I'm actually kind of like I'm. It's definitely easier than it was without this kind of infinite handgun, but it's still like not completely easy. I'm just playing it on the default normal. But like you'll just be shooting at a zombie like 10, 15 times my whole clip, and sometimes they just still won't go down because they're such a beast in that game. So I mean, it reminds me that you're really not supposed to be killing any more than you absolutely have to, and a lot of times just like shoot them in the leg and just get out of there as quick as you can. Because like even if you actually want to kill them, it can you got to like back up and get away from them and try to dodge them and things like that. So I'm almost near the game. I'm in the labs, which is kind of the last area. So I went through the whole thing again.
Those plant things.
Ugh. Yeah, those are a nightmare.
Oh my god!
But again, with the infinite handgun, like you just have to shoot their 5 little spots on their bodies, and then they'll just like stay down for like a few minutes at least. So you don't have to. That's the big concern is. You don't have enough ammo to do that every time. So with this kind of cheap infinite ammo, you can just kind of mow through it. So I'm having fun with that. I'll be playing Code Veronica next, which I don't think I ever played growing up.
I played a little bit of it. I just remember getting a bolt gun.
Yeah, I remember playing like a little.
I have 300 bolts. This is great. And then you realize like a bolt does like nothing.
Yeah.
So and then
did it come out on Dreamcast first? Like that's why, because I never had a Dreamcast. So
I don't know if it came out on Dreamcast first. But I know it came out on Dreamcast because I used to love the VMU thing, and I'd be like, "Oh, look, it's got the Code Veronica symbol." If you beat that, I will be very impressed because I remember playing it. It is very difficult.
1 was pretty difficult when I went through the HD, the 2016 one again.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I can't remember the last time I played it. It might have been.
Did you ever unlock any of the crazy like weapons in Resident Evil 2? Because I was looking up like other things you can unlock, and you can unlock like an infinite.
In the D?
In the new
new one.
Yeah, you can unlock like a rocket launcher, infinite ammo, and like a machine gun that has infinite ammo. But
No.
it's like you have to beat it in like
Oh, is that the steps thing?
Yeah, there's one that's like you have to beat it in S rank in like 2.5 hours, and then there's one that you have to
2.5 hours.
Yeah, there's one where you have to like not save or save like once or twice or something crazy like that, and you don't get like save points or anything like that. Like
no.
So it's just
No.
It's kind of a bummer because I want to try playing the game with those weapons. It would be fun after beating it up a few times, but I'm not gonna do whatever, like play it a dozen times to get good enough to actually do it in that amount of time.
No, not only that, it's such an awesome game. I don't like breezing through like that type of game.
Yeah, I don't like rushing either. It's kind of a pain.
No, like maybe Mario or something. Like, oh yeah, how fast can I do this? That game, I love to enjoy like the atmosphere, and then not only that, the nostalgia factor of like, holy crap, that I remember playing this on on my PlayStation 1, but. Yeah, 2.5 hours. What was that? Cutting out all the friggin' like cutscenes or something?
You have to like just basically go from from point A to B to C. Like you have to go in a straight line. Like even just like you have to avoid all the zombie attacks and everything. Like I can't imagine doing it in that fast without any issues on S rank.
No thanks.
So it does not sound like fun.
No, that sounds like a lot of work. But so Code Veronica you never beat. What about Zero? Because I know that was a like with the Resident Evil 1 HD collection for PlayStation 4.
Zero, yeah.
That's the one we can switch between the two characters.
Yeah, it's on the train, right?
Yeah, you're starting out on the train.
I think I definitely played that. I'm not sure if I beat that one either. It might be, I'm not sure where I played it, like if I just borrowed it from a friend or something like that, but I never owned it. So I never really got into it. I never felt like it was like a core game, like because it wasn't like a numbered sequel. That's probably one of the reasons
number 0.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons I feel like I never really tried to get into Code Veronica because like although we've already talked about how that was like originally what 3 was supposed to be Resident Evil 3 and then they switched Resident Evil 3 and Code Veronica so that like Resident Evil 3 is now the mainline game, even though it used to be kind of a sideline game when they were developing it.
Oh, really?
But I never played it because I never thought like, oh, it was this big part of the story. But then now that I'm saying that, like, do any of the stories in these games make sense? Like, I feel like every game it gets just kind of more and more like out there and crazy.
None of them
it's like hard to follow.
Connected like a ton.
Yeah.
Until I think it was 4, 5, and 4 had that like brief thing at the beginning, but other than that, there was a new person you spoke to.
Yeah, they just really didn't care about the
Ada
story
was
at
there,
all.
so it was just
kind of a bummer, but
yeah, I mean, and then 5 was just what it was, but again, no real connection to the previous games.
Do you play through 6?
Yeah,
that's a game where I own it. I bought it with a friend, and we were gonna play it like together around the same time. And I played it for maybe like an hour, and for some reason I just couldn't play anymore because it was so bad.
It depends on whose campaign you play as.
Yeah, that's what I heard. You play most like 3 or 4 of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I bought it for PS4 just because I was like, I liked one of the campaigns enough, but it feels too much like not a Resident Evil game. In most, like Chris's campaign doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game. It is literally just like an action shooter. But
isn't that the good campaign I heard?
No.
Oh, who's the good one? I thought his was supposed to be the kind of
is not
only
bad
one
until the end, where it feels like you're shooting aliens. And then Leon's.
Oh, maybe
Leon's is good. Because that's very old school. You have a pistol. You barely have any ammo at the beginning.
Are Leon and Chris in any of the same games besides 6? I can't think of them being in any of them.
No.
Seems like it's always back and forth.
Yeah, and then I know Claire and Chris are in Code Veronica. And then Zero is just like, other than that young girl, I forget her name. She's like the medic. She's in 1 as well. She's the one that gets like attacked mid, and then you're like, do I really want to unlock the door and the hunt? Fine, I'll go kill the freaking hunter and save her.
I let her die when I played through that game last week. I didn't realize that you could save her. Like, I don't know how I missed it, but I just realized I got like the bad ending at the end of the game because I let her die somehow.
What was the bad ending for you? I mean, we're not spoiling it. This game's been out for years.
You leave on the helicopter. You save Jill, but there's like the tyrant. You don't fight the tyrant at the end, so he's just like still alive, and it like flashes to him, and you see like his eye, and it just like fades away. to the credits.
You can skip the Tyrant altogether?
The
fight? The on the helipad?
Yeah, you can skip that because you still have to fight him like when he kills like Wesker.
Wesker, yeah.
Right before that. But
Yep.
when you leave, you just kind of finish the game.
Oh, so you just walk out from like the place is blowing up.
Yeah. It's kind of funny.
That's crazy.
Also kind of a bummer. Cause
yeah, I always
good
thought
ending.
every fight... I mean, it's a pretty simple fight. You just run around, and then after you've done enough damage, they're like, here, use this! And it's a freaking rocket launcher. And then it usually takes 1 or 2 shots, and he deflects one, and then the other one he turns into dust. But yeah, wow, that's surprising. I feel like every mode should have the Tyrant, at least at the end. Because for someone that is going through it for the first time and doesn't help her, because it's not, straight in your face. Excuse me, it was a side thing.
Yeah.
I think I've never let him die, but there was that other guy who gets bitten by the snake or something.
Oh, yeah, you have
And
to
then
go give him the
you have to-
anti-venom
Yeah.
within
and
a certain amount of time.
They make it seem like he's going to die, which that always is like my priority. Like, all right, I got to focus on this.
sprinted. I was like, I hope I don't screw this up.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if it was scripted or not, but I was like, I got to do it in a quick amount of time just in case this guy dies.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
guess he can. So.
I've never had it so he did, because I've always just been like, I'm going straight to this, and I have to sit there and look at the map and look at the damn... all right, I'm going to go up here. There's a zombie here. Crap. All right, so I mean, 6 is goofy. I mean, if you have it, do you have it for PS4?
I think I have it for 360 because
for
I bought it
360.
like when it came out, and then I
okay.
never touched it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Maybe
almost-
I'll give it a try on my kind of. I don't know. 'Cause
I mean,
my plan was only to play 1 and 2 in Code Veronica, but maybe I'll just play through all of them now that I have. There's really not much coming out in January and February for.
Do you have the? I have a few of the other. What was it? Resident Evil Dead Aim.
Is that the light gun
That's
one?
It can be, I think, used with the light gun, but it essentially it's just like a on rails shooter.
Yeah.
Then there's there's another one that's a Resident Evil Survivor for the PlayStation 1. I have that.
That's a light gun game, right?
I don't know.
I played a few of the like Revelations, the DS, the handheld ones, which were actually kind of surprisingly fun.
They were actually good. It was just the movement was a little weird.
Yeah.
Because like you would move forward, her legs like would be moving a lot faster, and she'd be gliding all over the floor. So it's like, But yeah, the story was a little over the top. But the gameplay was
tend to
great.
be, actually.
Well, this one was like it was about like a city in the sky or something.
Which one?
Revelations.
I thought wasn't Revelations in like a submarine and stuff and like a
Yeah, well, it took place on like a boat.
yeah.
But like it had to do with that like terrorist, and there was like a city that was like attacked, and it was like a city in the sky, and I was like, all right, like how futuristic are we getting here? I understand like the whole zombie thing, and I was like, all right, that's not too bad, but then it just started getting like ridiculous.
Yeah, it almost makes me wish they did like a reboot, and they kind of did, but they're kind of just remade the exact same storylines. Now I have heard that 3 is supposed to deviate more from the storyline of the original 3 a lot.
It'd be
So I
neat
think
if they
it'd be nice-
connected 2 and 3 a little bit more. Like,
Yeah, I kind of wish they would kind of like after 3 in this like remake series to just kind of like divert the storyline and maybe do like a remake of 4, but have it be like involve Umbrella more and kind of get more in depth with that as opposed to go like
oh,
this
absolutely.
completely different direction basically.
Yeah, instead of having Wesker like somewhere in like some computer lab in 4, which he is for 90% of the game, maybe he's kicking around, or maybe and then also explain that U.S. soldier guy that's chasing you around. Like, boy, they were like, oh, we know each other, and I was like, you do? Because Leon and I forget the other guy.
Which game are you talking about?
4.
4?
That military guy who wears the beret and he's annoying as hell and.
Not the guy like the Hispanic guy or
No, he's the American looking guy. He's got the red saber, and he has that one cutscene where he comes out and you have to do the button mashing, and you have like a knife duel with him.
yeah, he's completely went
You
over my head.
don't remember
Just
this
completely
guy?
Forget it.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, he was just this random character, and it was like, oh, okay, that's neat that they added in like a new character that apparently has a background with Leon Kennedy, but for some reason they didn't really give much of a backstory on him, and it was kind of disappointing because I feel like it would have been neat to see flashbacks of that, because I know in Resident Evil 0, one of the main characters, Billy, has like a military background, and every now and then they have a flashback to something that he did and why he's considered like a criminal. But yeah, I was just surprised they gave no backup for this guy.
Yeah, I feel like when I play games and like the storyline is kind of getting way out of hand and not being logical, I just completely stop caring and just start like either skipping the cutscenes or just paying no mind or like looking at my phone when they're talking when I shouldn't. Yeah, see, I recognize him, but I don't remember like what he was in that game.
Okay, sorry, I just showed him.
Just like a guy you had to fight at some point?
Yeah, if you played 4, that's what they referred to him as, his last name, Krauser. But he's just weird, like bulked up, like soldier guy, and has a connection to Leon somehow. But I mean, if you didn't, I think he was in one of the Wii shooters or something. But I'm pretty sure those games came out after 4. Yeah, they had to have, because GameCube was out before the Wii.
Correct.
And yeah, so
you learn all sorts of stuff here at the Manabar Video Game Podcast.
Of course, yeah.
The GameCube came out before the Wii.
Yeah, dropping some big knowledge on people.
That's why they come.
Yeah, so they literally, at that point, they literally just added this guy in. They were like, hey, you know what? He's got a connection to Leon. We'll figure it out later. Go ahead. Oh, and by the way, he's going to die in this game too, so there's going to be no real reason to, it's not like he survived or, well, then again, anybody apparently can survive now. And they're just like, oh shit, we'll write him back in somehow.
Yeah, so I feel like after the first like 2 or 3 games, I just completely fell off of the story and just stopped caring because it was so nonsensical. But what are you going to do? The game's still super fun to play.
Yeah, that's true.
They're kind of like are fun in their own stories every time. It just doesn't seem to cohesively go together too well.
Well, speaking of going a separate way, are you going to go play 7? Resident Evil 7?
Well, I had played it last year a second time, so...
Oh, you beat it, right.
Yeah,
you did beat it. I thought you beat it.
I beat it when it came out, and then I got VR and beat it again in VR, and it was like, I felt a lot better about it.
VR experience is crazy.
Yeah, because when I first played it, I was like, this game's okay, but I feel like I wish it was more like Resident Evil-y.
Yeah.
That game has like almost no Resident Evil story, and it's like it doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game.
No.
For some reason, like a lot of people seem to disagree with me there, but I don't know. Just the environment seems very different to me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just a random town or this little, well, not even town. It's like a cottage.
Because I feel like all the other Resident Evils, like at the end, they just kind of go like deep into this weird, strange, like either lab or like science-y area, and you like learn what's really going on. But here, you just kind of go back to the house and stuff.
Yeah. Plus, you're some random guy, so it's not like you're a police officer or somebody with authority or nope. You're just a guy that just got some weird email. With a video of your ex, or not ex, your wife from like 3 years ago or something. And it was like, I got a hunch that she's still alive. I'm going to drive halfway across the country.
Very Silent Hill of them.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah, like even your friends on the phone, like, dude, like, what are you doing? And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. So are you going to play that one or?
Probably not. I'm going to play through this, finish the second game, do Code Veronica, and then I'll have to see if maybe I'll want to start do like 4, 5, and 6. That's kind of like a big ask, and I've played 4 a bunch of times, so I might not want to play that again. And I want to skip it and go to 5.
Plus 4 has this like one like part of the game, then it just slows down a lot. It's like when the enemies start getting guns.
The game's a lot longer than I always think.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh crap, and then you realize, I have to do that whole thing with there's like the helicopter and follow him. And
after the like town you enter and the castle, there's still like a lot more.
Yeah,
of the game
and it's like,
that.
Holy crap, that already took so long. And I have beaten that game like on almost every system.
We'll see. I have kind of video game ADD, so I'll probably gonna get pulled into another direction. I'm still waiting on the Phantasy Star Online 2 beta is supposed to be happening in a few months on Xbox.
Oh, yes.
They announced that, 8 years in the making, they're finally bringing it to the West. They've been you can sign up. So I suggest anyone that is interested that has an Xbox, you can sign up for the kind of like open beta they're going to have, or like closed. I don't know if they're going to invite a certain number of people or just everyone that signs up. But they're going to open a beta that, will carry over all of your progress into the main game.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, and because it's a free-to-play game, why not just give it a shot and see if you like it? So I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know. That could be in a week. That could be in 2 months. And outside of that, there's really not much coming out that I'm looking forward to. So I'll probably just be kind of going back and forth. And it was one game I've been playing with you and Andy.
Yes.
We started playing World War Z.
Yep.
We were looking for like a fun multiplayer game where we can just kind of chill and relax and play together. And that's kind of the perfect game. It was on sale until I think like last week for $15 when it's usually like 40 or something like that. Andy wanted me to say that it was very fun. I really enjoyed it too. It does seem kind of like a like a mindless thing where you don't have to really think too much. You're just killing zombies.
Yeah.
There's not a lot I feel like I can say about it, except that like I played it a while back when it came out, just like by myself with online random people, and it was not that fun. Just because it's like, okay, you're doing the same thing over and over. It seems like it's more of like a kind of an excuse to hang out with friends and just like be talking and doing stuff. And then every once in a while something will happen where you'll need someone and you'll scream for their help or something like that. And it's pretty interesting. It's a little bit more complex than I thought it was going to be. Like there's I think 6 or 7 different classes that seem to have all their own separate perks, and they have like a perk skill tree. So every time you gain a level, you're gaining like perks that you can purchase, and then every weapon you have will level up, and then you can purchase like the next like weapon on that tier. So if you start with like a submachine gun, you can purchase like a level 2 submachine gun, which will always appear instead of the regular level 1, and it'll be either stronger, and maybe that one will have a silencer on it, which is pretty interesting. And it kind of gets you into this part where you have to decide what you want to buy, because every time you level up, you get, it seems like we've been getting 150 credits every time we level up. But we can also either buy a skill for our character class, or we can buy the next level for one of the guns that we typically favor or use more often. So it's kind of this annoying thing where I don't want to spend any money. So then I feel like I'm just like saving my money for something that's not going to happen, just because I'm so worried about spending it on the wrong thing. But it seems like that's kind of just a somewhat artificial way to pad the game, because like the more you play, like where there's only 5 or 6 episodes or something like that. I imagine once you play through it, they just kind of expect you to keep play it on a harder difficulty. There's 4 or 5 different difficulties.
They've added like challenge modes and stuff like that, but
there's some other modes.
That can only go so far.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of lock the difficulties by what level you're at. So obviously you start at 1, so you're playing on easy mode, and then I'm sure when you beat the game, you can just like in Diablo, you can move it up a level and just play with those same characters and kind of move them even further. But what do you think? You having fun with it?
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It plays really well. Like you said, it's kind of mindless. It's just meant to be.
You're just like killing zombies. There's like crazy hordes. Like if you've ever seen the World War Z movie or something like that, they're really fast.
Yeah, they're like climbing over each other. They basically, just like the movie, they like stack on top of each other to climb up. So like if you're thinking, oh, I'm 20 feet up in the air and I'm shooting at them, I got this. Like I said, they just climb on top of each other and they keep stacking and stacking. Eventually, they all get up.
You don't even realize they're there.
Yeah, but it's really neat too is that the physics are realistic. So if you take a grenade and you throw it at the zombies that are trying to climb up the wall, and you take out like the bottom layer, they're all gonna fall.
Yeah, it's
I was like, that's pretty impressive. Usually, they're just like, oh, they're still climbing. No, this one, it just takes them out. So, if you get some people with grenades or rockets, you can usually keep them at bay. But every now and then, you just let a few through, and then it can get a little overwhelming, especially when we're just playing on like one of the lowest difficulties. Because unfortunately, it's level based, so you kind of have to follow with what level you're at. You can't.
Yeah, they kind of lock there.
Yeah, so you're not going to play like the level, something that's level 7 and you're level 1. You're just not going to do any damage.
Yeah.
So,
but they kind of mix up and vary how the game plays. Like there'll be things where you have to, press a switch, and then you'll have to find a key on a guy, and the first 3 guys that you find won't have the correct key, so you have to keep on looking for a guy to open the next door. Or sometimes you'll have to like use defend a certain area, and they'll have mini turrets, or you can like electrify the fence that they're going to try to get over, so they'll just start getting electrocuted every time they get over, which is a lot of fun. And then so I was like a medic, so the medic classes which I'm going on is so I think that gives me the ability to heal you guys, my teammates, faster. And when I heal a teammate, it heals me too. And then I have these like stim boosters where I can shoot either myself or other people, and it gives them this like a temporary like super shield, which is a lot of fun. And it seems like all the perks are kind of based on that. Like I have one that lets me revive faster, another one that just kind of like lets me heal a little bit more and like add a shield after every time I healed. So I didn't we were going so fast, I didn't really get a sense of what you and Andy were, or like what your special skills were, because mine was kind of obvious. Mine's the medic, so we just had me heal whenever there was an opportunity or we found med kits. But what was your like guy's specialty?
Mine was mostly passive. It was mostly like in a group of enemies or something, you do like 25 more 25% more damage or something.
Nice. What was your guy's name? Do you remember?
I
His class
don't
name?
remember.
Yeah, there was like a gunslinger and like a berserker. And
I think it was
just, like, weird
exterminator or something along those lines. But it was basically your crowd control. So if you started off with an extra Molotov cocktail, and then you start off with a shotgun. So basically, you were literally meant to break up, crowds and crowds of zombies. And then I guess the other abilities kind of added on to that because they were more like keeping the enemy at bay. Like if you melee them, like it pushes them farther away or something along those lines. I didn't end up buying them. I was like Matt. I tried to save the points for future
I feel like
abilities.
I'm using all of my points, it seems like, for my perks, except for I did upgrade like the weapon that because each class starts with a specific weapon, so it's like, well, I might as well upgrade that because I'm gonna have it more than any other weapon. Like my character starts with an SMG, so like I was like, all right, I'll just level that up because then when I start, I'll just automatically have a level 2 gun or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't notice it, but you mentioned something about how you can start off with the second tier weapon at one point. Okay, well, I'm good. It's good because the combat.
It's kind of confusing the way it's laid out, and they don't really say that because there's like 3 different tiers of weapons, and then each weapon has like 5 different levels. Mm-hmm. So maybe I meant to say the next level of weapon. So every when you start the game, you have like unlocked level 1 of every tier weapon. You start with one weapon, and then you can find other weapons throughout the map, and you'll get the level 1 version of whatever it is. But if you level it up to a certain point, you can unlock the ability to purchase the next level of that weapon, which is what we've done for the first couple of weapons that we've been using. So that's why I upgraded that the SMG to level 2. So now I just start off with a level 2 SMG.
Oh,
so
okay. I thought
starts
you
off with like a silencer, and it does a little bit more damage.
Okay, I thought you meant the second, like, you know how there's like 5 different shotguns? Or like the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but that's like they're starting. So there's like the shotgun, then there's the combat shotgun. Yeah, there actually is a lot of content.
There's like 25 different weapons, or some. I'm just making that up, but around 25 weapons.
Oh, it's gotta be like, something like that, even more.
And then,
maybe.
Yeah, and then every weapon has like 10 or 11 different variants.
Yeah. But so because I kept finding the combat shotgun, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna upgrade that because I find it so often, and at that point, I don't want to upgrade my basic one if that one's going to be better. So why not just go straight for the combat shotgun? That thing is friggin' cheap. It's just shot, and then you literally can reload probably like 8 bullets in like 3 seconds. Just like
yeah, those weapons are fun to use. Like because sometimes you get a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. The secondary weapon is usually just like a pistol or maybe like a sawed-off shotgun that doesn't shoot a lot.
Good for taking out like one straggler at a time.
Yeah, if you run out of ammo and you're in a bad shape. There's ammo kind of littered throughout the level, but it's kind of in specific spots. So if you're fighting a lot, you might run out of ammo and kind of need to get to the next ammo pouch, which is kind of an interesting way where you can't just kind of shoot at anything you want.
They did balance it out well so far, from where you weren't like running out of ammo, like unless you're an idiot and just like blowing like your ammo away for no reason.
And
it felt timed pretty good. Like so it's very much like Left 4 Dead. Is the easiest comparison, where you'll get to some area and they'll have refills. Like everyone can refill from the ammo dump, and you can do it.
There'll be like 2 or 3 med kits, so we can all get a med kit and heal up or whatever.
Exactly. So it's basically like a safe haven area, and it always has like refills on everything. But you can't always get back to that location. Depending on where the situation is or where your teammates are. But
they don't seem to give you too much either. Like there's a lot of points where we just kind of straight up ran out of med kits, and you can't heal any other way except for through a med kit.
Yeah.
So it's you kind of got to use all that stuff sparingly.
I'm wondering later if there's some abilities like, if the medic is within 5 feet of you, you get like a small like health regeneration boost or something.
There's a lot of different perks, and I didn't look through my future perks for all the levels I'm going to get to, but I'm assuming there's a bunch that'll help me, obviously heal more and make it easier for you guys. But I don't know if they get overpowered or not. We'll have to see. I guess I could look. They do let you see if you just kind of want to look at what you're going to get in the future, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you enjoy Left 4 Dead or that style of co-op where you don't take the story seriously, you're just kind of running around playing with a group. It is team-based, so if you do end up playing, like Matt was saying, if you end up playing with 4 or 3 randos, as Andy always says, it's not as fun because you're going to get that one person that just runs off by themselves, gets themselves down, and then you're like, ugh. And then they don't balance it for, 3 people at that point. It's still meant for 4, people.
Because me, you, and Andy played together, and they would just throw in like a computer player, and then they seemed pretty competent.
Yeah.
But they did like lose a lot of health a lot, so like I just kind of stopped wasting my heals on them because I would just be using all of my heals on them.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of a pain. And we should say that we've only played it for like 2.5 hours. So
first 2 episodes.
We don't know if it's like, it could be something where it kind of gets boring if you're just doing the same thing over and over. Again, I think that's going to more kind of leverage on just like our general ability to hang out as opposed to just like how fun the game is, because that's really what it feels like for me, which is like it's like a fun, mindless thing to do while you're hanging out with friends. My only like kind of big gripe about it is because of the way you kind of level up the different classes, which is on the one hand really fun and interesting that like we have these characters that are going to be pretty different. Like we have incentives to only let me heal because I can do that better, and obviously you're going to do more damage to certain guys, and you get a Molotov cocktail, which is pretty nice at the start. And I'm sure Andy has some different perks, but it doesn't really incentivize you to try or use any of the other characters because it's going to start off that class at level 1 because you'll level them up separately. So like right now, if we play again, I could use like a level 7 medic, or I could go back to level 1 and use one of the other guys, which would just be kind of like
you'd have to start the game over.
You'd have to start the game over completely. So I kind of wish there was a way where that was more transferable. So kind of all the guys were leveling up, maybe a little bit less than your main guy.
Yeah, that'd be a smart idea.
Yeah, it's just kind of a bummer that like if we want to mix and match, we would just have to start over and play that first episode all over again. And the same thing with the guns. You kind of have to choose which 1 or 2 guns you want to kind of put your the money that you get into, because even though I have the ability to unlock like even so early on like 4 or 5 different guns, I can't afford to, so I just have to choose 1 or maybe 2 to do right now. And again, that could change. Maybe like 20 hours in, we're just rolling in money.
Yeah, that's true. It's just the start.
It just seems like right now we're getting a lot more experience than we are like money to buy.
Yeah, not only that, I kept screwing it up because I kept picking up different weapons. I was like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try this, I want to try this. And you're right, it doesn't reward you for trying new things. Because if you get like 15 kills with a shotgun, if you like pick up 15, what's it called? You get like 15 kills with the shotgun, but then you pick up a new shotgun. They don't base it on like a shotgun, like all shotguns are the same, or you get experience for just using a shotgun. It's that specific weapon. So, if you're like, oh, I want to try the assault rifle, you try that for a little bit, and you're like, oh, I liked it, but I just found a new one. I want to try that one. You're only going to level up, whatever you do with that weapon, and then the new one that you just picked up, you're starting anew, and you have to build that one up as well. Yeah. So the only time I could see that you would end up getting that max weapon is if you already maxed out the first one. You're like, well, I'm starting from scratch, so...
Yeah, so that's my concern is like when it gets more difficult and we're getting to a higher level, are we just going to kind of feel like pressured into using the same weapon because we don't want to start with like a level 1 or 2 weapon when we have this nice level 5 weapon that does 4 or 5 times the damage? But
yeah, hopefully. I
guess we'll have to see. We haven't exactly figured that out. It's just a kind of a concern I have from looking at all the menus right now.
Yeah, but hopefully it'll be the more challenging it gets, or the later in the game, the more you get rewarded for things. It'd be nice if there was... we do find that friggin' freight that's always locked. So one of the characters has like some sort of...
Yeah, like a breach ability?
Yeah, where he can put like a bomb on something. And I don't know what's in there, but every probably 15 minutes I see one, and it's like, God damn it, we need someone to be on one of these.
Yeah, at first I was hoping it was just kind of like an item that we could get in the game, but we haven't seen it yet, so I'm assuming it's just like something that's restricted to one or 2 specific classes, which is kind of a pain.
Well, I'm
kind of like locking out a part of the map.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my research and find out. Maybe it's gold or something. So it's like, oh fuck, my God, I'm gonna open that. It's like 150 gold for each person in there. God damn it! It's like we could have doubled our friggin' HP or XP instead. But
yeah, my guess is it can't be too good. It's probably just like a heavy weapon or something that
I'd be so disappointed like that you're taking an ability away just to unlock a.
Well, what else could it be? I don't think they would actually give us like money to currency to spend in the menus there. They seem so stringent on it already, and we're only like low level.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'll find out what's in that freaking crate Because literally, it's every like 15 minutes, you just find another one. It's like, oh, sweet. Oh, crap. We don't have a teammate. Then again, we don't have a fourth player, and that fourth person might be like, oh, I'll do it.
Yeah, I was wondering if, like, because it doesn't seem like you can choose what class your
that'd be
companion's
neat.
going to be either. Like, we could just make her or him the breach guy, but it doesn't look like you even have that option.
Oh, yeah, that is disappointing that you can't even choose. It's like completely random what they are.
Yeah.
And I wonder also if like they just start at the bare level 1.
Yeah, all the time, or if it's just kind of like an average of your levels. I don't know. That's another question we haven't figured out. We're just kind of starting.
But like I said, we're in like probably towards the end of episode 2.
Yeah. There's like 5 episodes, so they're kind of lengthy.
Yeah, I mean we played for like 2.5 hours, and I mean it was, like I said, it was fun. I mean, even though you're kind of just running around, clear a room, do a puzzle or two, go here. But it always felt like something was changing. Like we went to like I think the first one took place in New York, and then the second one, the second episode, it was in Jerusalem.
And it's funny because every episode it seems like there's 4 different characters, like 4 or 5 different characters you can choose from, but they're like specific to that episode. So it's not like you're playing this same guy throughout all the episodes. Like your class obviously and your weapons carry over, but like the character itself, it's like completely different. So when we played episode 1, I was like a firefighter. They have these like kind of backstories. He had survived 9/11 and he had like survivor's guilt, and then after that I was just kind of like old guy with this like really cool like suit that he was wearing, with like a chain gun on the back of it, like ammo. But I didn't really read what his backstory was. It was kind of interesting that they kind of force you to switch it up every once in a while.
Yeah, I did notice that. I mean, that makes sense. How do you just get from New York to Jerusalem in like 3 seconds? But that was kind of a neat change of like characters, atmosphere. I don't know. It kept it interesting. I can see how just running through the tunnels and the streets of New York, which is kind of boring after a little while.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice that we jumped into this kind of, year or so after, or I don't know when the game came out, but I know they had at least one episode is new from the beginning of the game. Like I'm sure they've added a bunch of these modes and stuff. So it seems like they've been kind of has this, a popular underground where a lot of people are kind of playing it. So they've kind of been adding stuff over time, which is nice.
Yeah. No, I was checking them out on Twitter, and it seems like they were like, oh, new content, new this, like free. And it's like, wow, all right, that's good.
Seems like a strange IP to grab onto. World War Z, like,
yeah.
I don't really care about of all the zombie IPs. Like they could have done like a Walking Dead, or like tried to get like a Resident Evil IP license, or some other zombie license. Like World War Z seems, or like start their own almost would make more sense than just like globbing onto this weird.
I mean, the only thing that they got is that crawling, like zombies, like crawling on top of each other, like climbing.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the only thing they wanted to do.
Again,
maybe?
The only thing I know about World War Z outside of this game is like the trailer I saw for the movie, but it was a book before that, right? Like I feel like there was more to it.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure.
All I think of as World War Z is just they're fast zombies and they climb. That's pretty much it. That's what makes it unique compared to, I don't know, Resident Evil, where they're just slow and dumb and just want to eat you, but yet you don't have any bullets.
Yeah, and they've also got like some varied different kind of zombies. Like there's the regular zombie, which is fighting most of the time, and then there's like big chunky ones that like are in like police armor, and they can really like, they just like throw you to the ground. And then there's like guys that are in like hazmat suits, and when you kill them, just poisonous gas goes everywhere. Yeah,
it's just like the Left 4 Dead. There's each one, or a lot of the special, unique enemies can do something where they knock you down, and basically your teammate has to help you. So just like the tank from Left 4 Dead, they have the bull, does the same thing, runs at you. If it grabs you, it gets in a chokehold and slams you down, repeatedly until someone else helps you.
I wonder if there's different zombie types that are locked behind the higher difficulties or anything. That'd be really cool if there was like harder ones as we go on, or like, because I just kind of assumed they would do more damage and maybe take more hits when the difficulty was up, but maybe be more.
As long as they don't have the witch from freaking Left 4 Dead. Freaking hated that thing.
Never played Left 4 Dead.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, whenever you're near, so she was just this woman that would be like, if I recall, she'd be crouched and she would start like crying, like she would just sound like a woman crying, and you'd hear this like creepy, like eerie music. And everyone would be like, "Oh, the witch is around. Don't set her off or whatever." You can sneak past her typically, but if you get too close to her or you make a loud noise, she runs for the closest teammate and automatically knocks you down.
Oh, bummer.
Like automatically, just boom. And she just blitzes right at you. Like it's not like a slow run. It's just dead. Like damn.
Yeah, the closest thing they have to that in World War Z is those like screecher ones that just kind of start screaming.
Yeah, they just kind of like stay in one area and they just kind of like they're basically like a megaphone. They just kind of like look around and let you and just keep yelling, and then they have like an annoying red symbol above their head.
Yeah, I'm assuming they just like call more and more zombies. So that's why whenever we see one, we try to get it as fast as we can. But they're super annoying. They're usually kind of at like a hard angle to get at too.
Yeah, but like one of them was like all the way across the way, and it was already after like a pile of zombies like ran over him, so it was hard to hit him. But no, but I mean, for 2 hours so far, it's been a great co-op game. Again, I don't know if I can recommend this to like just a single player or whatever. I had the same experience as Matt when I played it by myself. I was like, oh, this is cool, this is neat. Oh wow, all my AI characters are dead. Okay.
Yeah, definitely more fun to play with friends. Like if you have headsets online, do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definite. But so going from zombies to another creepy situation. I hope I don't bring up your hope for this, and then it comes crashing down like the Legend of Dragoon thing.
That's Dan's new MO, is like getting me excited about things that are not going to happen.
But
he did this to me to Legend of Dragoon for the last 3 months.
I know. I shouldn't have said anything. I apologize. With this, I had second thoughts, but I was like, there's sources. So
there's always sources.
Yeah, I know there always is. They could be like two dogs in a room that are just like, oh, my two sources over here. No. So supposedly there's an article out here that says 2 sources report Konami is planning a Silent Hill reboot.
I know, that's awesome. That's what I would want too.
I would. I completely agree.
They just need to kind of start from scratch and redo it.
But Konami has not had a good track record as of late with almost anything. Nope. I mean, it's been. I mean, I'm playing their Contra game, which is it's a goofy mess, but it's a fun goofy mess. I mean, Metal Gear, they turned into a pachinko machine. It just seems like every way. I mean, Metal Gear, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's make a zombie survival game, even though it's not like that. And we're going to add magic and crap. And, oh, guess what? It's going to be online multiplayer only. And you're going to have sticks and poke enemies through fences. So they have not been... it's hard to believe this kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if like they're going to do it in-house or have another team do it, but I would hope if they're doing like a what I think they refer to as a soft reboot, then it would kind of, maybe they would kind of use the storyline and the kind of the Silent Hill map of the first game as kind of like a base point, kind of like Resident Evil 2 did.
Okay.
Yeah,
yep.
just so it would be like they wouldn't have to make up another story, and like they could just kind of build off from there. So maybe that would be like an easier stepping off point. They wouldn't have to come up with all these ideas from scratch.
I mean, even if they just remade 2. Just like 2, Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2.
That'd be funny. They just skipped the first one and went right to the second one.
I mean...
Yeah,
the second one probably got more attention because the first one did well, and they were like, all right, now we expect... Kind of like how Mass Effect 2 kind of overshadows Mass Effect 1, where the first one kind of shocked people. They were like, whoa, this is a good game. All right, now I'm ready for the second one, and then it gets even more people in. So, a remake of Silent Hill 2, but doing it just like Capcom did with Resident Evil, where, where it's a full-fledged... reboot. It's they changed the mechanics of it. So instead of being a top down where you're just kind of like awkward tank controls, this one you actually can you'll be able to aim the gun or
but I kind of feel like that's part of what made those first Silent Hill games and like the first Resident Evil games scary is like, one, the tank controls that were kind of a little you kind of had to struggle with, and 2, this was more for Resident Evil, it was kind of the camera angles were so bad.
Oh my
god! You didn't know if a zombie was right in front of you until you like moved forward, and then the camera angle would change and he'd be right in front of you.
Oh my god! I remember running, and I didn't know how to flip the camera.
Yeah.
So I was just running down like this hotel. The hotel is like blacked out. Like you can't think of like a hotel, and then the lights go out, and then you're in the hallway. Except there's friggin' mannequins that are like double leg mannequins, so it's like legs holding other legs up. It's
on Silent Hill
freaky
too.
as shit.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they have like the kind of this fog all around the town, which makes it harder to see too. So it's almost like those kind of restrictive things. For me, they kind of help the kind of horror genre of it, because as soon as Resident Evil kind of moved away from those with Resident Evil 4, they were still like Resident Evil 4 was still a great game, but it wasn't really like a scary game to me. It was just like a fun action game.
They had some moments, which kind of is one of the reasons why I thought Resident Evil 2 would be successful, because I think a lot of people were worried about, I can just aim and shoot for the head or whatever.
Yeah.
But the idea that they made the zombies almost like sponges a little bit made it like, oh shit, do I want to fight this thing? Because he might take 15 bullets or not, he might take 2. I don't know. And I remember in Resident Evil 4, there was that moment you met that goddamn regenerator thingy where it had like those hearts inside of it, and you needed to use some sort of X-ray vision thing that was on your scope
to figure out where
to
it
shoot
was.
the hearts, and then they would explode because it would just keep regenerating and regenerating, and it's like, what the hell? And not only that, it was terrifying as fuck. And I'll never forget walking through. At one point, you walk through like a jailhouse, like an abandoned jailhouse, and there's just 5 of them, like in the friggin' houses, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is terrifying. And I was like, okay, so they can make a game where you can still, aim and have a lot of power, and yet still feel underpowered a little bit. And I feel like Silent Hill, they definitely could do that. They could make the fog really thick. They could make, the bullets limited. They could make, I'm trying to think, like walking through the hotel. They can make it dark as hell. They could have it so it's a manual flashlight. I don't know if you ever saw the when Resident Evil 4 was being like developed, they had this like pre-test version of it, and you could almost like control Leon's like hand with the flashlight. So that would make it feel a little bit like you're not just automatically like you have the flashlight, aiming, and you can just, I can clearly see in front of me. This one would do it so you'd have to, almost like Alan Wake, where you'd have to aim, you'd have to point and aim to see, what's in front of you. I think that would be terrifying. And then, you could always add, what's it called? Pyramid Head, kind of annoying the shit out of you.
I can imagine if they do this reboot and it's successful, and then they just like, every couple of years we get another Silent Hill game, like this Renaissance, kind of like they're doing with Resident Evil. That'd be awesome, because I always loved the Resident Evil games, but I was kind of, Silent Hill had a closer place to my heart, just because I really liked those first, really only the first 2 games I really enjoyed. Like, to me, I didn't like 3 that much, and then they kind of fell off from there.
3 was interesting. 4 was it 4, or was it then there was like another
there was
sub
a room,
one,
and then there was like
the room was irritating as hell.
Yeah, there was one for the Wii Homecoming or whatever.
Yeah, there was another one where you played as a trucker, and it was supposed to be like the
was a
prequel,
PSP
but it was so
PSP.
dumb. Everything was a weapon. It was like, this TV is a weapon, but everything would break after like 2 swings. So that's why like Zelda kind of felt like that. I'd walk around like, TV, this will last. You hit like one enemy, and then it breaks, and the enemy's still walking around. Then you got to go back on the menu, and it's like, son of a bitch. But yeah, 3's story was good, and I know a lot of people do tend to cling on to 3 and 2 as like their favorite, and then 1 is kind of like the first one that kicked everything off that a lot of people love. And I was talking to somebody at the wedding I just recently went to, and I was like, hey, what do you think of Shattered Memories, which I guess was like a remake of it? And he was like, it's not the same. It's just not the same.
Yeah,
and I
because
was
I played
like,
that.
okay.
I had that on the Wii, and I don't think I even beat it. Like, I played it a bunch, and it didn't really feel like the first game. Like, I don't know.
I was confused. Is it the same story? Is it the same characters? And sometimes I hear yes, sometimes I hear no, and I'm like, really? What, are they taking and they just twist it a little bit?
Yeah, I couldn't say for sure just based on memory, because I haven't played it in like 10 years. But from what I remember, it didn't seem similar enough that I would call it like a reboot or like a remake. Or it almost seems like that's how they advertise it, but it was actually just like its own standalone game almost.
Oh, okay.
It didn't really have to do with the first game.
Yeah, and apparently you couldn't like fight anything in this game too. Like you were just like a parent with like a flashlight. And I just remember you being chased by these little things. I don't even they look like trolls or something, but they're constantly like chasing you, and there's a lot of chase scenes. Did you ever play Homecoming?
Yeah, I played like all of them, I think.
Did you beat Homecoming?
Was that the Wii one or no?
No, that was Xbox 360.
I think I did.
Yeah, that was at one point.
Most of them.
At one point, you're chased by this like red orb, and like he keeps looking back, and he's like, "Oh no!" It's really irritating, like annoying. Like the character just doesn't shut up, and I understand why, but I mean, it's just annoying. But it kind of felt like they used that chat because I think Shattered Dimensions came out shortly before.
Shattered Memories?
Oh no, I'm sorry, not Homecoming, Downpour.
Downpour,
Yes, had that moment with the red orb. I got that mixed up. That's the one where you start out like as the criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, like it was neat and all, but they changed a lot of stuff that didn't make it feel like a Silent Hill. Not only that, half the time it didn't even take place in Silent Hill. Yeah, but going back to Silent Hill 2, like that would be the one you'd want them to remake or one.
I would want them to start from the beginning. Like I think I liked one more than you, but I really enjoyed one.
I have never beaten one. I played the first
really?
10 minutes, and it's kind of like going back to the original Metal Gear, where I was like, I can't play this. Like it's just something with 3D in the original PlayStation 1
it was
games.
definitely kind of clunky, and they refined and polished a lot of stuff about the Silent Hill series right after with the second one, where the second one's just like much better game.
Yeah.
But
Plus, they have the HD version that they cleaned it up a bit, even though they fucked up the sound effects. But yeah, so that game is still very playable in today's standards. Like if you can deal with the tank controls, but the PlayStation 1
it's
Silent
hard to
Hill,
go back to. But
it's like, I was like, am I walking down an alleyway? Is that an enemy? What is this? It's just a bunch of squares. Like,
but
so
it's nice because I think I remember in this article or somewhere it said that this game, like they could even announce it sometime this year, which would be fantastic. Like I don't think it's going to come out this year, but they could say, hey, in the next year or two, we're going to have a Silent Hill game, and to see like a trailer with that, and just realizing that with these new consoles, it's obviously not going to be a current generation game. I would imagine it's going to be on the PS5, and just like how scary a game with that kind of technology behind it could be.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be like kind of the first of its kind that I can think of for next generation. That's kind of really going for that scary, eerie atmosphere.
I mean,
I'd be super pumped
to see how Resident Evil 2's like how successful that was, and how like they were still able to keep it the same feeling of dread and underpowered and overwhelmed kind of in this giant mansion, and just being this rookie cop. It gives me hope that games like Silent Hill can make a comeback, where people still love like the horror part of it, and you can turn these older games into newer ones, but still keep the nostalgic feel of it. And I'm trying to think of other. I mean, they did it also with like Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. Like they kind of brought it back to life. I mean, Castlevania was never really scary, but they kind of kept the spirit of it, and it was well received. So I mean, if Konami can really get their crap together and do this, I mean, I'd be psyched. And it's all thanks to or if there's ends up being like a spike of these remakes, you have to probably give it to Resident Evil 2 for being like, hey guys, we can make some big money off of our previous games just by focusing on it and giving it like a new mechanics and a nice coat of
showing it to a new audience that hasn't played them before.
Exactly,
younger audience.
Like now the people who have played it are probably how old is Resident Evil 2? Was it 20 years or something?
Like 98 or something.
Yeah, so like I mean, somebody in high school has never played this.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever you try to like show your friends like, oh, here's Silent Hill 2 or Resident Evil 2, it doesn't like look like, because they're so used to this generation that they're like, this looks like garbage. This is so slow.
Not, and like, oh, it's not creepy. It's like,
So
yes, it is. You see it from my lens. Like when I remember playing it in college, I played it in college, and when it was still like the Xbox 360 was out for a while, and I still played it, and I still was terrified out of my mind. And I love it. It's just easily one of my favorite horror games ever made.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll hear about. I mean, it's just a rumor, so it could just be all nonsense, but I'm just gonna...
it's beyond rumor now. It says sources. Again, I don't know what the sources are. Aesthetic Gamer apparently at one point. I've heard of that before. And After Aesthetics shared this information
Dan's
publicly.
clinging to hope. Anything you can.
I know. Rely on horror. I don't know. That's what the other one says. But, I mean, I don't know why they would just pull this out of left field for no reason, especially after the Resident Evil 2 remake situation. Maybe a lot of companies are focusing, hey, let's go back and, this was a super game that it's going to get a lot of talk, just like Resident Evil 2 did. And not only that, we're going to hit our general audience of the people that played it 20 years ago. I feel like they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to open it up to a bigger audience.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just kind of have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah. So, well, let's hope, it's a realistic thing. And hopefully Konami's not like, what's it called? Blue Point Games, where they do these annoying,
Cryptic Twitter messages for the next 17 months.
Like, it was a creepy, foggy night, and that's it. Bye. Like, oh, great. Thanks for leaving us with nothing. But at that point, they're not going to tease you about potentially 5 different games that they're remaking. But
it's that issue we were talking about earlier, where it's almost, even if it is true, it's so far out, like that they haven't even announced it, that like it's hard to get too excited about, just because I hate looking forward to games that aren't going to be out in 2 or 3 years when there's like so much stuff coming in between then. So I don't want to pay too much attention to this or Legend of Dragoon, at least until we hear that they're actually going to come out and they exist in the real world and not just in my head, my fantasies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to know that Blue Point is working on something.
I just don't care about it. Seems like it's leaning towards like a Demon Souls remake, and I just super couldn't care about a Dark Souls or whatever they're doing.
Not at all?
No.
Not even a little bit?
I just don't like those games.
I think it'd be good at it.
It's so recent that those games don't need to be remade. They're like one generation
Demon
old.
Souls was like 2009.
Yeah, but it was a 360 game.
No, it wasn't. PS3.
Yeah, PS3. That's what I meant, that generation. It's not like it was even PS2. Or...
I mean, yes. If I was a company thinking, like, how can we maximize our profit with what game we want to pick? I mean, unfortunately, as much as Legend of Dragoon is awesome, it is a niche market, but it is an RPG, and I know there's a lot of people that are just like, I just want a good RPG. So I think word of mouth would eventually spread with that game.
I feel like a Legend of Dragoon remake would be expensive to make. Just like RPGs, it seems like current gen RPGs just seem expensive. Like that's kind of one of the reasons they always gave for why they were pushing off remaking Final Fantasy VII, because to make all those environments and everything in like real and current generation is so much harder. That's probably why they had to cut it into 3 different multiple different versions. But
that makes sense, especially if they didn't want to make it a linear experience.
Yeah.
I mean, does Legend of Dragoon take place in like a giant open world, or is it mostly like you follow a path? I just remember like you start in the woods and then you end up.
It's a bunch of like connected towns on this map. The map, it's not like an open world map where you can kind of just go wherever. It's just like you have like there's a line that you go from one town to the next town, and you can run into monsters, but like you can't just kind of go left and right and search for caves and stuff. But they're like all these different towns and forests and dungeons that are all kind of interconnected on this bigger map. But the kind of cities and places that you go to are pretty intricate, so I feel like it would be a lot of work to kind of model those in a current generation system. Like all of that would be a lot of work.
Would you be mad if it was just an HD like touch up?
No, that'd be nice. Like when I tried to play it last year, I kept running into those problems where I guess it doesn't run on the PS2. Like it's hard to play these days. It's hard to get. You either have to have like original PlayStation with the game, or like just pray and hope on a PS2 where it might crash a bunch. And it's not a game that they've, to my knowledge, just kind of released on PC or the PS3, like the PS1 remakes or anything like that. So just kind of a bummer that it's not easier to play.
Yeah, no, I remember you having that issue. You were trying to play through it and you got towards the end and then...
Yeah, kept dying after kept freezing after boss fights, which was very frustrating because the boss fights were pretty difficult, and then it would just freeze. And then there was like, okay, if you don't use your Dragoon power, it has less likely to freeze, which means you have to make the boss fight much harder because you can't use your special powers. But that still didn't work all the time for me, so I was like, I can't do this anymore. Okay. In addition to the Silent Hill rumors, we have another very arguably bigger rumor about the PlayStation 5. It seems like there was a leak on 4chan from what some people are considering like a valid source that released like a ton of information about when it's going to be announced, how much it's going to cost, what it's going to do. So just go through some of these quick points. There's supposed to be an event on February 5th.
Wow.
Which is 2 weeks from now, which kind of surprises me because I would imagine they would have to announce that with enough time for, all the people that work at the news, the big gaming websites and all the influencers or whoever they're going to invite to actually like get tickets to this place in New York or LA or wherever they end up doing it. So I'm surprised, like if that's true, they're going to have to announce it, by the time we have our next podcast, we'll have either pretty much confirmed or denied that that's true. Some other interesting things is like, so they have the price is supposed to be $500, which is kind of in line with what we've been saying. That kind of makes the most sense. They're saying it's going to be able to play like all 5 generations of PlayStation games.
They are saying that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is. I mean, I don't want to tell them like, oh, I'll buy it anyway. But I mean, the idea to have an all-in-one PlayStation. Actually, didn't someone say that that PlayStation at one point was trying to do another symbol for the PlayStation 5, but they just went, screw it. I thought I heard something about that, and that would actually make sense if they were trying to encompass all the PlayStations into one. I mean, they're not going to do the stupid naming convention that Xbox did, like, oh, PlayStation 1. Like, whoops.
And they're saying like also the DualShock 4 controllers, PSVR and PS4 accessories will be compatible with it, which makes sense. I feel like they either almost announced or that was almost the big rumor that the controllers at least were going to work on that, which is nice because I don't want to have to buy another bunch of $60 controllers for the system after I have some for the PS4. Which makes me think because they released those little add-ons to the PS4 controller that have the little back buttons. It almost makes you think like they're kind of getting ready, and maybe those will be kind of default to the PS5 controller.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want like, okay, you can just get this instead and
maybe it'll have extra buttons, and at that point you can map those two to that.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a neat idea.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just interesting to see. Like, who knows if this is true. So I guess people are saying it's true because there's a tagline for like a new tagline for the system is going to be "It's time to play," which has been like after this leak had occurred, it's been starting to pop up in like PlayStation, UK Twitter and some other places. So that's kind of where it's getting some of its credence from. But what do you think about that? $500 sound right to you?
I mean, I figured 500, 400 would have been like. I would have been shocked if it was anything under 500. I mean, again, also too, if it's playing PSP, what? Okay. Well, I'm hoping that if it's disc related, so like obviously the PSP has that stupid little plastic disc, the CD disc inside of a plastic disc, so that won't work. You'll have to like download the games, but the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, being able to play those, and I would assume that if you get to play those, there's going to be some sort of upscaling, kind of like what the Xbox One does to the 360 games, as well as what the PlayStation 3 did for the PlayStation 2 games back when it was backwards compatible.
Yeah, and it says reservations are supposed to open up right after the event on February 5th, which is coming up. So get your wallets ready just in case.
Yeah.
I wonder how fast those are going to sell out, because that's always like something that makes me nervous every time a system comes out. Is like, oh, you got to reserve it before they kind of stop taking reservations.
I feel like now because I remember pre-ordering the PlayStation 4 when it was first announced, and I had absolutely no problem. I just walked in and I was like, yeah, can I pre-order it? And it's like, yeah. I think a lot of people, especially with systems, unless it's an exclusive, like if they announce like, hey, we're doing an all-generation, PlayStation where it has, I don't know, all the different PlayStation symbols on it or whatever, and it's an exclusive and they're only making like 5,000 of them, yeah, that'll sell out like that. But if it's just a general one, I'm pretty sure you'll go to any website, Walmart, Best Buy, and they'll have it. By the way, if they sell out, do not pay extra money for somebody's, oh, look, I got the receipt and it's a pre-order. It's not worth it. There'll be loads of pre-orders. Believe me, these people want to sell these out as much as possible, as fast as possible, because I want to get them into the hands of consumers so that they can take a lead on the next the next generation. And I'm sure, like we said last week, where Xbox is like, we have no new games right away except Halo. So they better come out swinging with Halo. But no, I mean, $500. I'm gonna start saving my money now.
It's just like $20 a week until the system comes out or something like that.
It says it's also saying something about remote play will be support PlayStation 5 gameplay on a smartphone, tablet, laptop, and that's basically a giant dig at Stadia. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I hope Stadia fails. Go work on what you're good at, Google, not video game systems. So I mean,
yeah, it'd be interesting because I want
to know what it looks like.
Yeah, the biggest
I think that's the other big thing. Like, just that weird, like everyone's saying, like the Xbox Series X, and they have like the real picture of it, which isn't great, but it is the official thing. And then you just see that weird U-shaped thing, the developer kit from PlayStation 5 as like a temporary like placeholder, and it's just like, I want to know what this thing looks like. Are they gonna stick with their cubism kind of style or the modern like monolith looking thing? How are they going to do it? What is it going to look like? What's going to have? What kind of attachments are you going to be able to use on it? I guess there was the microphone that's like built into the controller now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's great, but I don't know how I feel about using the microphone on there. I mean, I already have a tough time talking to people through a speakerphone, so I can't imagine the microphone is going to be that great.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't really know what the use case would be that.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's like for a specific video game they're using for, because I feel like, a headset's always going to sound better.
Yeah, and I mean, unless of course you're like, they're trying to do what like Xbox did, where they're like, oh, this is your like central hub, and you can like, speak into turn on Hulu or Netflix or something. That's neat, but it's kind of like an afterthought because I'm not going to use, and I also hope it doesn't conflict with, like when you have a wireless headset, you don't want that thing listening as well as your own headset. Then it's gonna echo, and I mean, they probably got their shit together. I mean, they kind of dominated this generation, so I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited most about that. The 5 generations of games. That seems like, if that's true, that'd be absurd and awesome. Like maybe that's a way I could actually play Legend of Dragoon again without having to fish out a PlayStation 1 if they could get it to work on that thing.
It'll be the one game where it still crashes at that one moment. It'll be like, son of a bitch, I still need me to buy a PlayStation 1.
I've got this closet full of games that I could just pick up any of these PS1 or PS2 games that I have. I mean, I usually just play them on my PS2, so it's not a big problem, but it does make a difference if it's just kind of nice, easier. You don't have to like unpack anything from a closet.
I don't know if I'd be out of my mind with advertising this, but wouldn't it be kind of neat if they made PlayStation 1, now that it's going to play everything, and if it plays it really well, like it's the main feature, not like the PlayStation 3 or it was like a side thing. If this is like the big feature for it, if they could release some really popular titles, like brand new, like the old Final Fantasy VII game, but with like new packaging.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Just like online, you could order it or something.
Yeah, and it literally is just the physical game, and you pop it in, and of course it's going to pop up with the old school logo, and it's going to feel like it. I don't know. I think it'd be a niche market.
New runs of all these popular games would be
exactly,
cool.
And it
especially
would
like some of the ones that are harder to get.
But yeah,
I don't know what kind of legal craziness that gets into, because I mean, obviously they can make any of their
own first party
stuff,
ones. Yeah,
but can they do anything? Like they can't really release Metal Gear again. They'd have to go through Konami, or they'd have to get permissions from all these different companies, I would imagine.
That's true, but I mean, I'm sure those companies will be like, "Hey, we're making money, and you're just gonna have to do." Kind of like
all that stuff is like a licensing nightmare, especially when you get like music and stuff that's only licensed for that release of that game.
Oh,
if you want to re-release it, they have to get all these rights again.
I don't know how Super Smash Brothers got all that together. Like, yeah. I don't
know. This is all above my head. I'm just like realizing all the different crazy ways. It's probably just a pain to re-release them like that.
That is true, but I mean, the idea is if you have the disc and I hope it's not like, oh yeah, it's backwards compatible, but you need to buy it via, you need to buy it through PlayStation Now or something like that. Would be kind of aggravating, but.
Yeah, the article did say they were going to kind of lean into PlayStation Now, give everyone that buys the system a 3-month subscription to PlayStation Now, kind of like Xbox has that really
Game Pass thing,
for
$1
for 3 months. Yeah. So yeah, it seems like they're going to go heavy into that, but guess we'll have to wait and see on that.
I mean, well, I don't know. I don't even know if these are going to be discs going forward. That's the other thing. Well, I mean, it'll probably be like what type of like obviously the Switch has the cartridge. Are they just going to stick? Well, what's the new?
I'm assuming it would just still be like Blu-ray again.
Blu-ray, or what's the other one where it's like one step higher? Is it like the Ultra HD? Is that a different type of disc?
I don't know technology. I just likes to play games.
I do likes to play games. But I always, again, PC people can call us out. I know you, Mike, are a big PC guy. But I thought it was faster to have like storage devices like an SD card and to read it off that than a disc. I don't really know. If you do know, comment and make fun of us, because I am at least not a PC person that much.
Yeah, I just feel like this leak is pretty exciting, but it must be such a bummer for Sony for two reasons. Like, if it's true, it kind of takes the wind out of their big announcement they're going to potentially have in a couple weeks about like all these new features, about the backwards compatibility.
Oh yeah, but I still don't. See, my thing is, I still don't believe this. Like, the backwards compatibility thing has been like, I remember when they were first talking about the PlayStation 5, that was like, oh my god, it's going to have that feature. And then at one point they were like, nope, PlayStation 3 is way too difficult, so therefore they're sacking it. I heard that they're not just doing it anymore. And then it kind of got a little talk of like, okay, there's backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4, but then I heard there's certain PlayStation 4 games that are not going to work. So it's going to kind of be what the Xbox One did with the 360, where it was like certain games, but not all. And then that's kind of frustrating for the few unique ones that people like, but they just won't be able to do it. But then now I've heard that all PlayStation 4 games are going to be backwards compatible. Obviously if it's VR or whatever, you need the VR. But
it's kind of a bummer because like I was saying, if it's all true, then it takes the wind out of their sails. But if it's all false, like it might be, like you're saying, that's going to be a super disappointment, and everyone's going to be like, oh, but I thought it was going to have all 5 generations. So it's kind of like they just shot them. It's like they're shot in the foot, whether they have it or they don't have it. It's just like how much new stuff they're going to have to come up with to make people that are maybe disappointed that it's not, fully backwards compatible. Like, is everyone just going to be upset now unless it has this is all the minimum stuff it's allowed to have? It's kind of a bummer.
I have to think that they would want, all the backwards compatibility games to work, because I feel like they can really start putting nails in a coffin for Microsoft if they are like, hey, everything is backwards compatible, all those exclusives, and then you can just see in the background like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and all these like exclusives that were fantastic, and then they're super high review scores. Hey, this is still going to work on your system. So, and then on top of that, we have these exclusives that are exclusive to the PlayStation 5, blah, blah, blah. Because, I guess that would also make sense, too, considering that, they're still pushing The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima before the system. So, at that point, I would think that they would make it backwards compatible for, the whole system. PlayStation 3, I think, is that big one that, I don't get it, but some reason it's really difficult to emulate.
Very weird architecture they built it on.
Yeah, and if it doesn't play PlayStation 3, I'm not going to be super disappointed. It sucks because I have a pretty big PlayStation 3 library.
I feel like PlayStation 3 to me is the same as like Xbox One, where like there really wasn't much that I feel like I missed out by not having it. Like outside of Metal Gear Solid 5, Four, what else was there? A lot of huge exclusives that I felt like I missed out on.
Yeah, they didn't really nail a lot of it. Now that I think about it, they had some God of War, they had Killzone, but yeah, nothing is besides Metal Gear Solid 4 is really jumping off as. They had a Little Big Planet, but nothing like what the PlayStation 4 has. Where, like I said, it felt like every 6 months there was something huge coming out for it. But I'm excited. $500. That seems pretty reasonable. Are you going to get a day one for $500?
Absolutely. That's what I assumed the price was going to be. That's kind of what I've been assuming for a long time. Like $400 is way too cheap for what the system seems like it's going to be able to do, and given just like general inflation, and $600 seems like would be just kind of like a death nail in their coffin of like no one's going to want to buy this at that price. So I feel like 500 is as high as they can go without alienating people in that way.
That's smart. And I guess they're talking about how the Xbox Series X model is apparently going to cost $100 more than the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, there's also been like a part of that rumor is that the Xbox Series is going to have, there's going to be two models, a $600 model and a $400 model. And like the $400 model is like going to be, really just comparable to the Xbox One X. So I don't know. That's a lot of weird floating information that I feel like we need to just kind of learn more about.
Oh, maybe Microsoft's trying to go the way of the PC, where it's like, hey, it's upgradable. You can get a new graphics card, but they're just going to make it literally a piece. So that it's like, oh, just unclip this, put this in, done.
That's what I don't like about these like half-step systems. Now we're going to have two systems, and we used to have different SKUs where the only difference was the hard drive space, which wasn't really that big of a deal. It doesn't affect how the games play, but it sounds like if this rumor is true, then the $400 base one is going to be kind of markedly less powerful than the $600 one. So it's like you're either going to have to cough up the extra $200 or just feel like you're getting a half
jump,
not the full experience of a new generation console.
Plus, I would assume that
kind of rubs me the wrong way a little.
And I think it would affect multiplayer as well. Because if that thing's running at a faster rate, higher,
because then
screen resolution, they're going to get an advantage.
Yeah, it gets me thinking about the same conversation we had about how we learned last week that Xbox One, or the new Xbox games are going to be cross-compatible with all Xbox One for so long.
Which could hold it down from being
they're all going to be kind of building these games for the lowest common denominator system. So, I mean, maybe that's kind of a point, like, oh, we're going to have to make them work for the Xbox One, and we might as well make this cheaper system that can play them too. But then, like, 3 years down the road, you're going to want a better system when the games just kind of can't really run on it as well anymore. It just seems like a nightmare coming 3 years down the road. I didn't even
think of that, yeah. So that would make sense with the $400 or $300 version. Like, hey, it's like it's almost like what the PlayStation 4 Pro is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, oh, God, I mean... I don't want Microsoft I want them to be a competitor, and
it seems like everything they've done in the last like 3 months that I've heard about has always been like, oh, okay, they're really trying to do this poorly. They're trying to beat their record of how poorly they did with the Xbox One launch. Like, I really thought they were going to do better this time, but I don't know. Nothing about this new system or how they're launching it is exciting me at all. Again, half of these are rumors, so hopefully, we'll have an event in 2 months and we'll learn that all this is not true, and maybe it's $500, and maybe they were misspoken about the games being able to play on the older consoles too. But if all the stuff I'm hearing about the system is true as of right now, it's
a little scary for.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of incentive to buy it, at least when it comes out, before all the answers to the questions about like what games are going to come out. Are they going to look, are they going to be not looking like is it going to be one of those things where when people review games, they're going to be reviewing them on the PS5 because every time they're going to look better? There's usually that one system that beats it out where, it just looks a little bit better. Like right now, it's the One X, where like technically the best looking games are on the One X. So if you have a choice if you have one, you might as well play it on that. There's going to be one of those things where if you have a PS5 and an Xbox Series X, you're just going to want to play everything on the PS5 because it looks better. I don't know. I'm just I'm getting ahead of my skis here a little bit. It just worries me because of these mistakes that they keep making over and over.
I just didn't know this thing. I thought the PlayStation 5 was like, oh, we'll hear about it in 4 months or something. But now you're saying something.
2 weeks is insane. Yeah. February 5th.
And then
that's the one thing, because I've been hearing all over the internet people saying like, yeah, this is a legitimate source. They've been right many times before. That's why even though it's kind of wild accusations, people are kind of giving credence to this. But February 5th is in 2 weeks. Like, that's so soon.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I guess
it could be wrong.
Well, and then it's saying something about February 11th is some sort of tech demo thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's related to
they said
PlayStation,
something.
though.
Yeah, well, they said something about like how cutting edge technology typically goes. February 11th is already supposed to be on your calendar if you love things all things tech, because that's when Samsung But yeah, supposedly it's like a big tech thing. And if I recall, when the PlayStation 4 was announced, they did their big PlayStation 4 thing where they made fun of Xbox and they were like, hey, look, here's how to share your games. And then they had that video of like handing, so they knocked that out of the park. And then I remember they did more of a professional kind of specs one. And it was like a week or two later. And I remember it was just like reiterating what they already said. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, I already know this. But that would be the same thing. It would be February 5th, and then just about a week later, February 11th, they announced a little bit more. So I was kind of hoping this was going to be something that you wouldn't hear about for a little while, because, like I said, Matt and I don't like to get our hopes up when something is not coming anytime soon.
I think this was basically the timeline with the PS4, where they had that big announcement in February, and then the systems came out in November. So I don't think it's too early for us to at least hearing like the kind of early stuff.
So you think February 5th they will?
I don't know.
You will see physically.
February 5th seems soon.
It does.
If this rumor is true, then yeah, that would make sense that they would reveal it, and you would see the system itself at this event. I was thinking, like, if you had asked me before this, like 2 days ago, I would have said, yeah, we'll probably hear about something around March time. So February is a little bit early, but not like crazy early. I'm just surprised it's like 2 weeks and we still haven't heard anything about it.
So the PlayStation 4 was announced in February of the same year that it was released in November.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense in the timeline.
I mean, so the problem is they got to start, they've got to make, how many millions of these machines. They've got to start sending the parts to the companies, the manufacturers. The dev kits are already in the hands of all these companies. So all these things are leaking out. So at this point, they're just trying to get ahead of all the leaks. Like, they can only hold this information for so long until, like, we're getting a leak right now. Like, all this stuff, like, you can only hold it for so long when there's so many different moving parts in this architecture of, like, the different companies and the different manufacturers, and they've got to release to the
all
information,
the patents that are being announced.
Yeah, to the retailers, they got to tell them, oh yeah, we're gonna need this time window or whatever. So it seems like complicated, and they just kind of get ahead of everything as soon as they can, I guess.
But I just can't believe 2 weeks. That's kind of just dropped a hammer on me. Like, ugh, I don't know if I'm going to be ready for a new
It'll be fun.
System.
Give us something to talk about.
I know. Well, it's
even if we hear the announcement, it's not going to come out for another 8 months. So got plenty of time to save up those.
I know, but it's almost just like PlayStation 5 is in like the distance. Save your Gil. That, like, it's like, oh, okay, I'm still gonna buy accessories for the PlayStation 4 and and it's like, oh crap, now the next system is real, and then it's that big shift,
where games are gonna suck for another year and a half.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Godfall is gonna be a potential release, and again, all the backwards compatibility, it's just gonna, like I said, it's gonna play really well, it's gonna look really nice, and then again, they're gonna have those new games like, I would assume Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima are going to be on that system as well. Maybe with that $10 upgrade crap.
Hooray.
But is there anything else you want to get off your chest today, or anything else you've been playing? Or
Nope.
Nothing?
Just ready to be disappointed by Silent Hill rumors and sad about further delays and...
The Blue Point hasn't tweeted in a while, right?
Nope.
No cryptic tweets?
They haven't tweeted since they announced they were...
That stupid poem crap.
Well, they tweeted about the Last of Us or was it Uncharted? Yeah,
Uncharted, that stupid animal thing if you flipped it. Oh, right.
Playing as a goat. Those 2 PlayStation Plus games this year.
Stop all the trolling. Leave that to the game people, like the gamers or whatever. Don't leave it to the big people. You just piss people off. Anyway, all right. So that about wraps this episode up. So, Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me at Matt Talks Games on the Twitter machine.
All right. And you can find me, Game Review Guy, Dan, on Twitter. And
DJ Party.
Yes, DJ Party. You can also find us on Twitter at manabarpodcast. You can also download our episodes at manabarpodcast at, I think it's like podbean.com.
Just search us on the Google. You'll find us.
We're on the Googs. We're on the Googles.
We're on your Google store.
Andy's much better at this than I am. But
your iTunes, you can find us everywhere.
Yes. So we have Instagram. We have all those wonderful things. But all right. So on that note, this is the Collector, and what are you, Matt? Are you Matt still, or are you?
I think I'm the Trophy Hunter.
The Trophy Hunter, sort of.
Yep.
The procrastinator.
Yep.
It's a little bit of both.
So whatever you want to call me.
He is
Matt. My name's Matt.
He's Matt. Yeah. So on behalf of Matt and the Collector and the